Hi folks, it's Evo here from Thundermist Lure Company, and welcome to today's cooking episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. I've got Antonio with us, as you know, our boatless angler. Hungry?
Starving, actually.
Starving. We've got Vincenzo, flew down from BC for this dinner.
Extra starving.
Extra starving. And today, folks, we're going to cook a very simple, easy, and quick seafood pasta. So I'm going to hang up the fishing rod just for a day, and I'm going to exchange it for my favorite kitchen utensil, the wooden spoon, just for today. And we're going to share a simple, delicious seafood pasta recipe with you right now. So let's get started. So as you know, folks, before we get started, I always like to have my ingredients ready to go. And with this seafood pasta recipe, you could use any fish that you want. Freshwater, saltwater fish, doesn't matter. But let's go over the ingredients. What I have today, I have a little bit of hot peppers. I've got some diced tomatoes. We've got some Italian seasoning, some salt, Old Bay seasoning, a half a cup of white wine. Also, we've got some olive oil here and some garlic that's been minced up and it's ready to go. Now, for the seafood part, and again, you could use any fish that you have, combine it with any seafood that you want. So today we've selected, Antonio loves shrimps, Vincenzo loves the scallops, so we've got a nice plate of shrimps here to go with. We've got fresh scallops here that we're using. We've got some calamari rings that we're going to add, and we also have some mussels, and the fish that we're using is some haddock. I've got some haddock that I cut up a little bit earlier in cubes, and that's basically all that we need. So now we're going to get cooking. Okay, we got a pot of water going over here. We're going to bring that to a boil. We're going to add about 1 tablespoon of salt. That's just for the pasta. And let's fire up our stove. And we're going to add some olive oil, enough to cover the bottom of the pan. And don't be shy, because this is also going to be a bit of a base for your sauce. Okay, so we're going to heat that up. And to season the olive oil, we're going to add our minced garlic, and that is 1 large clove of minced garlic. If you like to have a lot of garlic, you could add 2, but we're just going to season up this olive oil nicely with this garlic, and then we're going to start to add our fish and start to fry that up. So let's give this about a minute to cook. Okay, so because this is minced, this is going to cook very, very quickly. So like I say, 1 minute at the max, because all you want is the flavor to come out of that garlic. You don't want it to brown. So it's just coming up to about a minute now. So what we can start to do is let's start adding our fish. So I'm going to start adding some shrimps. And again, how many shrimps? Use as much as you want, maybe 3, 4 per person. There's Antonio said he's hungry, so maybe we'll put in a few extra. What do you think, Antonio?
That's the way to do it.
And we also have Lisa with us tonight. She's already at the dinner table waiting. And let's add a couple more shrimps. Let's not be shy. All right, and we're going to add some scallops now as well. Again, be generous depending on how many people you have. It doesn't really matter. If you only have a little, use what you've got. But the more the better for flavor. Okay, Antonio, I'll add a couple more shrimps for you. How's that?
That's good.
I know you're saying that's not enough shrimp. Alright, that's going to make quite a nice sauce.
So we're adding all our seafood now except the mussels.
That's right. So we're going to add the calamari now. And we're going to fry up all the fish, but you're right, Vincenzo, we are not going to use the mussels until the very end. We're going to use all the calamari. Alright, so all the calamari's been used. And what's missing now is the fish. And again, use any fish that you have at home. Whatever the catch of the day was, feel free to use it. Alright, my favorite utensil. And all we're going to do now is just fry this up and cook it about 3/4 of the way. So put the heat on high. So let's start to fry up this seafood pasta dish, at least the sauce, to get it going. Now, as that's cooking, we're going to add a little bit of salt. And the salt that you add is just add the salt to taste. I'd like to add some Old Bay seasoning. I really like that Old Bay seasoning. It adds a real nice flavor. I know, Antonio, it's not your favorite, but I really like it.
It's growing on me.
Is it growing on you?
It is.
It's a nice spice actually for fish and seafood. So I'm going to add some more. Oops, I just lost the calamari ring. I think it's okay to put back in. There we go. All right.
So what other spices might you want to add?
You could add black pepper if you want. I know I'm going to add some chili pepper, Vincenzo, to the sauce afterwards to give it just a little bit of a bite. But yeah, you could add black pepper if you want.
How about parsley and basil maybe, or?
Yes, parsley actually would be very good. This isn't coming out very well. Parsley would be very good, but I'm going to use some Italian spices instead of parsley. But yes, you could add parsley. Okay. This little spicer keeps getting plugged on me. That looks good. Alrighty, so we're just going to start to cook that. Now when this gets about 3/4 cooked, I'm going to add that white wine. Okay, now I'm going to take my diced tomatoes, and I drained the water out of these diced tomatoes because you don't want to have any extra liquid in there. So always drain the water out of your diced tomatoes. I'm going to spread them right now.
Well, one thing I noticed is that the seafood themselves made a lot of water.
They did, and they do release some liquid, Vincenzo, as it's cooking, so you definitely don't want to add more water. But we do have a half a cup of wine here, and this we do want to add, because that's going to add some flavor. Now the wine is optional, however I like to add a little bit. And now you mentioned parsley. Here's where you would add your parsley, but instead of parsley I'm just adding some Italian seasoning, just to season up those the tomatoes that I've added. And a little bit of salt for those tomatoes, just a bit. Okay, now we're going to mix that up. See how watery that is, but that's going to cook down a bit. Okay, and one more ingredient. I mentioned the hot pepper, and again, that's also optional, but I am going to sprinkle a little bit of hot peppers just to add a bit of bite to that sauce. Okay, so things are happening now. The fish is cooking nicely. Our water's come to a boil. Now I'm going to add some linguine. We're going to have our linguine seafood pasta today. And it's 500 grams of linguine. There's 5 of us here. We've got the cameraman, Lisa, Antonio, Vincenzo, and myself. General rule of thumb, 100 grams of pasta per person. So I've got 500 grams. I've got a nice Italian pasta imported from Italy. They always make the best pastas. Go with the best if you can. Alrighty, so to the pasta water, I have added 1 tablespoon of salt, and now in goes the linguine. Perfect. My favorite utensil. We're just going to get that as that cooks, get that all in that water. Okay, the pasta's in there, and now it's time to add our mussels. By the time that pasta cooks, this will finish cooking and it'll be absolutely perfect. So in go the mussels. Again, use as much or as little as you like. Now those mussels, by the time this pasta is cooked, they will release their flavors, they'll cook up nicely, and they'll be just perfect and ready for the table. Okay, this sauce is coming really nice. The mussels have all opened up, and if you have a mussel that hasn't opened, don't eat it, they have to open. And now our pasta is al dente. I'm going to drain the water, and we're going to add it to our sauce. Okay, now I'm going to add the pasta to the sauce in the frying pan. And it looks like I might have added too many ingredients. So I'm just going to take a little bit out and make some room. It's Antonio's fault, those extra shrimps. Okay, I'm just going to make some room here. So let's take some of this out. And now we can add our pasta. There we go. Fits perfectly. Okay, I'm going to put the heat back on high, and what we're going to want to do is cook this just for another minute or two. Now remember, I took the pasta, the linguine, out al dente. so it can cook for another minute or two with no problem. What do you think?
It's great.
All right, the moment of truth. Look at this dish.
Should we stand back or
Stand
what?
back, yeah. Don't trust me, Antonio?
I do actually.
It might be too much for our serving dish though.
Those are good problems.
That is a nice problem to have, but we're gonna top it up here. There you have it. One seafood pasta dish, seafood linguine. This will be, if you could smell the aromas right now, folks, it's unbelievable. This will be, guys, as good as or better than any seafood pasta you'd order in a fine Italian restaurant.
I believe it.
And how quick and easy was that to do? We did that now, let's say, it's been maybe 40 minutes from start to finish. Very simple recipe, easy to do, absolutely delicious. If you get an opportunity, whatever fish you catch, add a little seafood, make some nice seafood pasta, and it's a different way to enjoy cooking your catch. Bon appetit. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that, folks. Absolutely perfect.